Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jamal
Good
Shaikh, and it's
afternoon.
my pleasure to welcome you to a very special episode of the India Story Continues. This online add-on to India's premier design, art, and culture festival called the India Story grew from the germ of an idea that founder Madhu Nyotia had earlier this year. Today, we're on the finale of a very successful season one, a season that has seen Abu Jani Sandeep Khosla celebrate their 34th anniversary live. Millennial singing sensation Pratik Kohar smiled in embarrassment when veteran pop singer Shweta Shetty called out his praises. And fashion editor Bandana Tiwari speak her mind on what Mahatma Gandhi can teach us about slow fashion. We have had royalty with the Maharani of Baroda, Radhika Raje Gaikwad, talk about the royal lifestyles that will never be forgotten. And chef Veer show us how Michelin star winning chefs cook the humble khichdi. Singer and composer Salim Merchant sang us a tune, and designer Rahul Mishra went schoolboy-like when chided by a senior fashion editor, showing that his small-town sincerity will not be marred by the biggest of successes. Just last week, I sat before you with three of the top lyricists from Bollywood, Swanand Kirkire, Kausar Munir, and Varun Grover, all of who didn't just answer the questions we had, but were also ready at the drop of a hat to recite poetry and sing songs, only for the India Story Continues. Today is the big finale of season one, and we have with us three young stalwarts, if that word doesn't make them feel old, who we are calling the future of the India Story. Veer Singh, Masaba Gupta, and Gautam Sinha, welcome.
Thank you.
Hi, Jamal. Thank you.
All three of you are designers and culture ambassadors who have successfully taken the India story forward. So while formal introductions will follow, here is a first question to all three. What is the one thing in the story of India that makes us the people we are today? Masaba?
What makes us the people that we are today? I think a bunch of things. I think the liberty to do whatever it is that we feel like. I think the fact that we express ourselves through the work that we do. I think all of us, I'm sure the others would agree as well, that all of our work is an expression of every aspect of our life in a way, and of our beliefs and things like that. And I think the fact that that the new young India, or the India that all of us are currently in, is one where you can go out and try and dabble with so many things today. There's nothing that's set in stone. You can be jack of all trades, and that's okay. And at the same time, I think it's interesting that we all have such a global language, that you're not just speaking to your own sort of, just your universe is so much larger. You're talking to a global consumer today, and I think that's the magic, and that's where it comes from. Yeah.
For a moment, I thought that you'd say the story of India is something that's called je ne sais quoi, and that would be politically totally incorrect. Gautam, you are joining us from London. Tell us what you think in the story of India that makes us the people we are today.
Wow, I think, at least for me, the younger generation is proud to be Indian.
Yes.
And that's something that's not we didn't see for the longest time, at least 10 years back. A lot of the youth was kind of torn in between what's cool and what's not, and if India is cool or not. And
Yes,
I think that's completely changed, and that's the core of it. Be proud and be a proud Indian is what's
totally.
completely changed.
Fantastic. Veer, what's your take?
I've actually thought about this quite a lot, and my conclusion for now is that our wisdom traditions, um, they make us most unique, and just to be a bit more specific, uh, this understanding of non-duality
Yes,
that also translates to an understanding of impermanence.
yes.
This is a very, very defining feature of, I think, any Indian, any part of Indian
Indianness.
culture,
Absolutely.
yeah, any tradition. It is
Absolutely.
what allows us to live with the chaos.
Yes,
Mm.
It is what allows us to come up with the most profound philosophy. So
yes.
for me, this is one underlying thread and stream that I see in every Indian and every aspect of our culture.
That acknowledgement of that Indianness is something that gives me goosebumps. Veer Singh, you are chief concept creator and founder of the award-winning Vana in Dehradun, a wellness retreat that leaves me a bit confused. Who exactly is
Mhm.
Vana meant for? For its guests or for the wildlife that lives there? Four, lining the walkways at the retreat are sculptures of monkeys, quite like those that celebrate great men in Athens and Rome. I'm told your team has instructions that cobwebs should not be touched to try and make sure the ecological balance is not disturbed. And the butterflies, they flit around all over Vana with the belief that Vana belongs to them.
Mhm.
On behalf
Yes.
of all these living beings that cannot say it, Veer, thank you. You, Veer, became aware of nature and everything it had to offer while studying physics abroad. Now, young Indian boys and girls go to foreign shores to study capitalism and and learn how to compromise values. Yet you, Veer Singh, came back with fortified Indianness to create Vana, which is seeped in the culture and traditions we grew up with. My first question to you, Veer, how come?
Well, I never really felt the need to try and be something that I'm not. I've always felt quite comfortable in my skin. Apart from that, I used to be a Sardar boy, and as a Sardarji with a turban on your head, you cannot really be anything other than being
Blended.
Indian. Um, and then after that, I think my interest in agriculture and farming,
Yes.
that then connected me to our culture much more strongly, because that is really one of the root sources of where everything comes from.
Well,
So
you are an
yeah,
example, Veer, and everything you stand for today and the celebration of India that Vana is should be a shining example to a lot of young people all over.
thank you, I
Masaba,
hope so.
Masaba. Masaba Gupta, you are a designer, you are an actor, or are you just the symbol of strength every young girl aspires to be? You've had a rough childhood, and this adulthood, if that's what you believe you've now reached, hasn't been devoid of challenges either. Yet you faced them with a smile and a lot of spunk. And while you did that, you've been a strong reflection of another lady we've all known much longer, but for some reason haven't acknowledged enough. You know you are Nina Ji's point of pride, Masaba. But to all of us society watchers, your determination, talent, and resilience stands its own. Masaba Gupta, my first question to you. Life's played a tough one with you and left you stronger. Has it left you scarred as well?
Um, I would be lying if I said no, but I think it has in its own little ways, and I think the magic of it is that you don't realize it till you're much older. And I'm 31 today, and it hits me in bits and pieces now, mostly in interactions with people, relationships, the way I react to things sometimes. And I think it shows up in bits and pieces, but I think the idea is to always be aware of it, to be conscious of it, and let it slide, and not react to it, rather just act act through life. And I think that's something that I really want to do. But I wouldn't say, I would also say this, that I think all of those experiences, the tough childhood, all of that, the scarring just made me who I am today. I don't think I'd have such a good story to tell otherwise. I'd be quite a bore, and there would be just one Masaba, not two. So I think it's all worked out.
Well, what a fantastic way it's worked out with. Gautam Sinha, you and I have been threatening to meet for coffee or a meal for close to 3 years now. And before you protest, I must confess I am to blame. I go to your Cafe Dory often enough for my favorite brunch, the best Turkish eggs in Delhi, and then go back thinking, hey, I met Gautam today. The pride I feel at being at your store and cafe takes me back to the day 8 years ago when I discovered Napadori in a tiny bylane of Hoskas village in New Delhi and experienced a range of emotions that morning. First, I loved the leather goods immediately and the Indian prints and was overwhelmed by the quality. Then I saw the price tag and I got a mini heart attack. But soon after, I felt temptation and I bought more than I needed to. I'm happy to say, Gautam, that these include a few items that I treasure and use till today.
Oh, they're still
Imagine,
very
Gautam, yeah, the quality, it stays, it stays. Imagine, Gautam, the pride I feel when, alongside amenity kits from Chanel, Gucci, and Prada that we see in premium classes of the world's best airlines, we have Qatar Airways hand out a kit from the very Indian Napa Dory. Gautam Sinha, tell us in a nutshell the story of Mr. Dory and Napa Dory.
wow. Well, I call myself the dyslexic designer because everything I do, especially on Instagram and social media, it's all like spelling mistakes and things like that, and always correcting things. And yeah, it just happened by chance. I didn't plan to do this or be in this line. Desperate times call for desperate measures, I guess. I was completely broke when I did start Napadori, and just wanted to do something that actually just was a true statement of what I feel design is. And when you're designing for other people, it's a morphed version of
Right.
what you want to do and commercial aspirations. And then
Yes.
what ends up coming out is completely different to what you actually thought it would be. And
Right.
I was kind of frustrated with that and wanted to
Right.
do something which was pure and
Right.
didn't not from a business background, didn't know how things work. So I think ignorance is bliss because I did make a lot of mistakes, which were complete blunders, but worked out well. I think those are the things that made me learn uh, uh, things on the way and
Right.
expand the business. And yeah, I had fun all the way. I've always done things which are completely useless, according to me, but people buy.
Well, Gautam, you surpassed expectations from the start. You've set the bar so high for yourself. How do you intend to keep up?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't need to take tips from
I'm
Masaba.
trying to scare him here, yeah, by the way.
Uh, yeah, like I feel that it's a journey that's unexplored all the time, and I think that's the best part about it. I didn't know that I would have a cafe, as you did mention that you enjoyed going there, and when I did start Napadori, and I don't know where it's gonna go, and but that's the beauty of it, right? You keep evolving and try to do new things, pivot the brand towards things that are sustainable in terms of. I think a business needs to be sustainable rather than the whole sustainability angle that everyone puts in. If you're
Right.
not sustainable yourself, you won't be able to do anything decent, and
Correct.
that's core. And I think taking care of the people that are around you.
Right.
And
Right.
I feel one if you can keep doing that, you can
Yes.
evolve into many things.
Right. Now, each one of you brings to the table sizable respect for India and what India stands for. But if I were to be very honest, and Gautam, you mentioned it earlier, when growing up, Desi was not a cool word amongst the young. We
Hmm.
pretended to watch English movies and we watched Hindi movies hiding at home. When did you guys realize that the richness of India deserved an audience and would eventually have a market in the future? Veer.
I think, for me, it was just um, a process of, I guess, growing up. you when you also study and work outside, you naturally tend to compare cultures, you compare history, you compare
Yes.
motivation actually.
Right.
I think even this pandemic has shown us how each country's motivation and what drives their leaders is so different.
Absolutely.
Um, so I guess slowly a sense of maybe pride is not the best word, but let's just use that for now. Sense of pride, a sense of confidence in one's own
Right.
legacy, history, tradition, knowledge, base of knowledge
Yes.
and wisdom that
Yes.
begins to seep in. And
Right.
if you're a reasonably aware and intelligent human being, at least I think as an Indian, you realize that there is no better place to be, no better place to work, no better place to contribute than in India itself. Sure,
Right.
it's great fun to travel and enjoy
Yes.
other cultures and other environments and experiences. But in
Yes.
terms of finding, to use a slightly cliche phrase, meaning,
Yes.
I don't think there's a better place to be than India.
But Veer, you do agree that when Indians go abroad, Indian young impressionable Indian minds go abroad, they come
Hmm.
back with American accents,
They do,
and they
they
come
do.
back with losing a bit of Indianness. How did you come
Yeah,
back with exactly the opposite?
because as I said, I felt comfortable in my own skin, and I think our colonial past is way behind us. We need to
Yes.
find our own identity, and we
Yes.
have far more going for us than some of the most developed countries in the world, right?
Right.
And I do feel that you've actually hit on a very interesting point. I do feel that language, one sense of dress, and what
Yes.
we eat are three very important parameters of one's outer identity. And
Right.
until those are not your own,
Right.
I think you're not a complete human being. I would love it if in the generations to come, these sorts of
Yes.
conversations happened in a language from our country, not in English. It's a little bit of a
Absolutely.
tragedy, to be honest.
Absolutely, absolutely. No, it should, and we should not struggle with speaking. Then
Yes.
we should be able to speak in Hindi. All three of us, guys. Shall we try? Or Masaba
Yeah.
is like recoiling a
बिल्कुल.
little bit.
No, no, no. I'm very happy speaking in Hindi, but then I was just thinking, there might be some words I might struggle with. Right.
Yeah.
Gautam, you have a lot of Indian design, Indian mode. You celebrate Indian places, Indian, popular Indian landmarks on your designs. What do you have to say about this?
Well, I think growing up, and as you said, like a lot of people did certain things in a completely opposite way, and now it's come full circle. I
Yes,
think it's the again. I'm going back to this generation,
yes,
the fact that they're evolved in a way that they're exposed to all sorts of things, the Western culture and us, and
right,
uh, and I feel the West was always very endorsing about India, then
right,
India being endorsing about itself and
right,
Indian people, and I think that's changed. That's the big pivot that's happened, and
right,
I think as we didn't mention, but it'll be if you're just a little, traveled or even I feel just aware of certain things around you, you would understand the fact that how rich this place is and
right,
how I'm sitting here right now, and trust me, we guys work way harder than them, and
right,
I've been having
right.
such an issue over here.
Yes,
In terms of the clocking the hours and doing things, and
yes,
we are hustlers. It's
yes,
just in our blood, like,
right.
and we
Hustlers
get
in a
up,
good way. Yeah,
you work, and you don't clock the number of hours, or you don't see the time, and you just do things which are out of your realm, and
right,
it's so clinical over here that it just like
right,
irritates me, and
right.
that's when you feel that, oh damn man, India, like you can hustle your
Yes,
way and you can do
yes.
whatever you want over there.
Yes. Well, what I do know is millennials today are not shy about watching Indian films or singing Indian songs or wearing India on their sleeve. And I think that's the first step towards probably having a session like this in Hindi. Veer,
Mhm.
Vana provides an India rich experience, be it in food, Ayurvedic practices, music, etc. Yet the design of your retreat is contemporary and modern. Have you stayed away from over designing India into the concept on purpose?
Actually, that happened because of two reasons. One was a bit more karmic, because we encountered this wonderful father and son led design studio in Spain, and
Right,
they've become like family for me. So we engaged them to design Vana. And the
right,
second reason was that the main inspiration for the way we went about planning the entire retreat was nature itself and the site
right,
where we were.
right.
The aspiration was that eventually, when the retreat matures, it
Yes,
should look like and feel like it just emerged from where it is, rather than being forced upon where it is. And so, despite constructing over 350,000 square feet, I think in the 4.5 years we were building, I allowed no more than 8 or 9 trees to be transplanted or disturbed. Um, I really
Wow.
tried to work with the site that I had. But to your point about, doing it on purpose or not, I really feel we have, as a culture, put out the wrong impression of what our aesthetic is like. I'm so
mm,
tired of Indian hospitality being associated with only the palatial Maharaja type stuff or the colonial type stuff, and
right.
this overzealous need to prove who you are.
Mm.
You know,
Yes,
if you just go outside of the urban environment, you
yes,
see that the inspiration is earth and the soil, and of course there are elements of colors and other intricate aesthetics too. So
yes.
I feel one also needs to a little bit redefine what Indian aesthetic and design is associated with. So I
So
try to
well
do that
said.
with Vana a bit.
So well said. And this is the first time
Mm.
I've heard this in these words. I look forward to hearing this again. Gautam, with you too, there's visual Indian elements on several of your products, but you've still kept the contemporary international cuts in place. Is that to appeal to a broader audience?
Yeah, I think when I did start Napadori, it happened by chance that I did put those images on to the products. It wasn't uh, well planned, thought of decision that I
Right.
would do this and this is the way I would portray the brand.
Yes.
uh, the quality was obviously number one in terms of how I wanted the brand to be known. And
Right.
I think the way the brands have evolved, it's got a very international palette, and I think you need to have that. It's Indian
Right.
to its core, and we promote craft, we promote
Right.
craftsmanship, but that
Right.
doesn't mean that I need to portray Indian images on the bags for that,
Right.
or how how we guys usually end up doing, putting camels and things on bags or
Absolutely.
products,
Absolutely.
and we don't need
Cliches.
to, we don't need to do
Yeah.
that. I
Yeah.
think the
Yeah.
quality should talk, and
Yeah.
it should be I think the brand is Indian, but it has obviously certain type of uh, feel to it, which it kind of works with everyone from everywhere.
Right.
And I think,
Absolutely. It does.
and if you do want to create something which is acceptable or accepted everywhere in all cultures and everything, quality
Yes.
is one thing that is accepted, and that's
Yes.
what you need to focus on.
Yes, yes, and that is your strong point. Masaba, the publicity material for today's conversation described you as an Indo Caribbean designer. What do you say? Is there any Caribbean in you at all?
Oh God, I'm more Punjabi than I am Caribbean. I swear to God. But I keep saying that I'm a Punjabi girl stuck in a Caribbean girl's body. I think that's what sums it up. But I'm I'd say I'd say not really, because I think I've grown up in. I mean, my grandfather was from Banaras,
Yes,
and my mum grew up in Old Delhi, and then I have my father sitting in Antigua. I think that the idea is that I identify with India much more, and that's
right,
that's the reality of it. I think
right,
that I do love the Caribbean. I think the sense of color, the love for color, the love for everything just being a pop in your face. I think that comes from there, that part of the world. But
yes,
um, strangely, food and habits of both places are very similar in a
Yes.
way. But
Yes.
other than that, I think I identify as a pure Punjabi girl. I mean, more Punjabi
Right.
than I am a Banya, but I think I completely identify as that.
Right. Right.
And I see the Caribbean in me coming out in small bits and pieces, but not all the
Right.
time. No.
Now, in the first episode of the India Story Continues, I asked Sandeep Khosla about Indian designs being a bit, now, for want of a better word, kishy. There was a cake in front of him, but Sandeep Khosla almost ate me up for saying that. As a younger, more objective Indian, what's your take? Can Indian design sometimes be too loud? Masaba.
Absolutely, but I think that's the beauty of it as well. And I think we rightly pointed this out that the same applies for design as well. I think we've set out the wrong impression that it has to be opulent and flamboyant and over the top and everything has to be loud. But I think that doesn't really mean that. And this is something I noticed when I was just a young girl watching Fashion Week before I started
Yes.
fashion, my
Yes.
own label, and
Yes.
I noticed that everything was about heavy over the top bridal wear, and there was no space almost for a simple silhouette, making a
Right.
walk down the runway. So I
Yes.
think Indian design can be loud. I think it must be loud sometimes because
Right.
and loud, I think, is a wrong sort of more negative way of saying it, but I think it's meant to be out there
Right.
sometimes. But at the same time, I've seen some great minimal fashion. I think that in India itself, even today, we have designers. I think I identify Napa Dori, for example, as a very minimal brand. Same
Right.
with Vana. I can't say the same for House of Masaba, obviously, but that's where I come from. I think everything should be bold, it should be graphic, it should be in your face, and why not? That's who we are. Like I said, the West is lapping it up. It's time that we took ownership of it as well.
Masaba, with your Netflix show becoming such a big hit, tell us, are there more appearances on the screen on the cards?
The issue is I've tasted blood, and I love being in front of the camera. Unfortunately or fortunately, but I mean, sure. I just think if I do get more work in this space, I will be happy to do it. But I told someone the other day that I don't want to play that dark skinned heroine who's out to ruin a good happy household and I'm the other woman. I think when sometimes you get associated with that when you
What
look like
makes you
I
think
do.
of yourself like
Yeah.
that? What?
I'm telling you, it's the truth. It's everyone just somehow decides that the girl with the bronze skin tone is the other woman. So I don't think I want to be associated with
Right.
stereotypical stuff like that, which is what Masaba was not at all.
Correct. Correct.
And yeah, like I said, I think it's something that I enjoy thoroughly. But fashion is my first love. It's my baby, and anything that hurts the brand, obviously, I will move away from. But in this case, it's only helped the brand grow. So
Right.
definitely,
Right.
yeah.
So, with that hope of seeing Masaba, Masaba, Masaba on screen far more often, there's an added one for that. It's now time to get into a fun game. I'm going to ask a
Hmm.
question and then ask each of you to have a go at it. Uh,
Hmm.
please answer it without thinking too much. It's not Karan Johar's rapid fire and it's not going to get you into any trouble. Question one. Name one Indian design aesthetic that causes your heart to go aflutter. Masaba.
I would say two things. One is handloom, of course.
Yes.
The second is use of color, and I'm talking about way up from the north to the south. I think the use of color,
Nice.
for me, I think just the extensive thought process that goes behind why a certain area has more of one color and less of the other. I think that's what
Right.
gets me about India each time.
Gautam.
She's kind of hijacked my answer, so I don't know. Like,
Repeat, repeat. It's okay.
like
Copy.
for me, color, like color is something that is completely. I think we kind of own it as
Yes.
Yeah.
Indian, and I think
Yes.
that makes me so proud.
Yes.
You go to
Veer.
Rajasthan, you can see that.
Yes.
I'm not trying to be overly philosophical or intelligent, but I thought about this question, and uh, actually, I would say the sense of discipline and diligence of an artist, a weaver, a craftsman, the way they go about their work, often with very humble means, in very
Right.
humble surroundings, I think that
Right.
is, if anything, that's what makes my heart a flutter. In
Right.
terms of actual aesthetics, there would be too much to pinpoint one.
Not too intelligent, very heartfelt. Question two. Name one Indian tradition, and it could be anything like folding of hands for a namaste or touching feet of our elders, that you want to pass on to your kids one day. Veer.
Um, Actually, in terms of a whole tradition or a system, I would say the Buddha's teachings.
Yes.
But in terms of, say, a ritual or a practice,
Yes.
the way any person expresses their sense of devotion to their guru or a deity or a god,
Right.
the
Right.
way we use flowers and incense and
Yes.
lamps and
Yes.
chandan and kumkum and bells, that
Yes.
would be one practice I would love to. Actually, my son is 18 months old, and
Mm-hmm.
he hasn't learnt many words, but the
Right.
moment we're in front of the Buddha, he knows what to
Yes.
do. He's even learned mudras of how
Wow.
to offer a lamp and how to offer
Wow.
incense.
Wow. So you're
So
almost there already. That's fantastic. Masaba, one Indian tradition you'd want to pass on to your kids someday.
I think the love for the sari, I see it dying slowly. And, in the house I come from, we preserve saris like art.
Right.
They're
Right.
carefully wrapped up. You put neem leaves in silk sari so that they stay longer. Avoid
Okay.
being eaten by insects. I
Okay.
think that's something that I've seen with a lot of the younger generation. Unfortunately, they do that to a
Yeah.
gown, but somehow they
Yeah.
don't, have the same respect for a sari. I think that, yeah.
Oh, great answer. Gautam.
Well, mine is a lot less serious, but like the love for feeding others. And I think that's a
Yes.
Indian thing to do, and
The love for
feeding others. And
okay, yes.
Mhm.
and we do it in all sorts of ways, the ones that come home or people that you feed when you are doing something auspicious. And
Yes.
it's just the langar, as you call it,
Yes.
like
Yeah.
that. I would love for, if I do have kids one day,
Beautiful.
to
Absolutely
take that
beautiful.
forward.
Yes. Question three. What, according to you, is the biggest advantage of being a creative person in India today? Gautam, will you go first?
uh, Having everything on your plate. And I think that's the beauty of it.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
it's a wide open
Yes.
canvas, and you can do
Yes.
whatever you want. And
Right.
I'm doing leather at this point of time, but I can do and design anything that comes to my mind. And
Right.
the possibility to do that in
Right.
a small structured way over in
Right.
Delhi is
Right.
amazing. Like I could never dream
Right.
of doing that in Europe.
Veer.
I was going to say exactly what Gautam said, that be it any material, metal, wood, paper,
Yeah,
you can find somebody to do it
do it.
for you, and
Yes.
they'll often do it with a lot of patience and
Yes.
do it 100 different times. So
Yes.
I would echo what Gautam said. Yes.
Masaba.
I think, yeah, I agree with both of them. The opportunity
Right.
lies ahead of us, but I think it's important to note that today, even a homemaker or somebody who doesn't have all the resources to, I mean, back in the day, you had to have one store in a prime location somewhere to be recognized as a designer, for example.
Yes.
Today, you can do it
Yes.
from the comfort of your home. You
Right.
can be a boutique brand, you can be a brand that's out there. I think choice and opportunity are the two things that are the advantages of being a creative individual today.
Right. Okay, you three are ganging up against me and repeating each other's answers. I'm not going to allow that. Two more questions to go, and I'm rotating the
Okay.
guy who goes first. So if someone says what you have in mind, please think of something else. On your feet. Question four. Between Indian films, music, and art, and fashion loosely comes under art, what plays the most important role in taking forward our culture? Masaba.
I'm going to be shot for saying this, but I'm just going to say it anyway. I think Indian films, and
Yes.
this is the harsh truth. The fact
Yes.
is that I would love to say art and I would love to say
Yes.
music, but Unfortunately, we have a very, very talented bunch of musicians in the country, but no
Yes.
young Indian identifies with them as a role model.
Right.
If you ask me, Bollywood and cricket are the two things that make culture in India go forward, because that's what
Yes.
all of India is following. They're following Bollywood music, movies.
Correct.
It's the
Correct.
harsh truth, but that's what's out there on the streets, and that's what makes it
Ex-
work.
Accepted. Gautam.
Craft. Uh, it's hands down for me. Like craft, Indian craft is something that I just
Mhm.
feel transcends into so many different levels, and I think the West has been able to promote it more than us for the longest
Yes.
time, and
Yes.
and half the things that you see over here are made in
Yes.
India. And
Correct.
I think as Indians, we need to start owning it, and at this and not be shy of promoting India
Yes.
and Indian.
Yes.
I just feel that we get very conscious. I think we do have that colonial hangover of
Right.
shying away and promoting India. And I think a lot of brands come from the West which have Indian products but are Western.
Right.
And
Correct.
I think this decade, 2020 get over, but the coming
Yes.
decade
Yes.
is all
Yes.
about India, and you'll see so many Indian brands coming to Europe and establishing themselves. I think that's something that's going to happen. It's bound.
Look forward to that. Veer, films, music, and art. What would you pick?
Actually, to be honest, I think none of them. I think we still
Yes.
have to find we have to find our true export. Um,
Yes.
if there's anything that comes close, maybe
Yes.
to doing what you said, it's probably the Indian spirit, and that's what allows people from our country to go anywhere in the world, east or west, and
Yes.
establish themselves, work hard, be successful. That
Yes.
maybe is our closest, best export. I have a hunch of what could become our best exports in the future, but I think we're yet to realize them.
Right. Fantastic answer. Question five and the last question. The world has its eyes on India. What's the one thing that excites the world about India the most? Veer.
So I'll continue from my last answer. I think again it's this sense of Indian spirit. It's the
Yes.
size and scale of India, the breadth, the depth, the history, and all of this, mixed up with what our wisdom traditions have taught us, and the various, we also use the word Indian as a monolith, but
Right.
of course, every bit of our country that you go through, it expresses itself in so many different ways. So I
Right.
think if you put all of this together in maybe what you can call the Indian spirit, with
Right.
our tradition of wisdom and the scale of the country and
Right.
where it is in its cycle, right, in the
Yes.
time axis, I
Yes.
think all of this put together makes it a very interesting place to watch. And everybody is
Nice.
looking at India. I think it's just a question of timing, as when they'll want to, get in there.
Right. Masaba, what do you think excites the world about India the most?
I would think how versatile it is, because we're a lot of people with a lot of different types of taste and
Correct.
cultures and
Yes.
understanding of things. And I think that that's so exciting for anybody coming from the West, because you get to cater to so many different varied tastes. And I think that's
Yes.
what really gets people. And
Yes.
I would like to add to what we said, the opportunity of, the fact that there is a large bunch of people who, I mean, I think we're the most hardworking lot in the world.
Correct.
And you come out here, you know that if you want to get something done, it will be done. So I think just that opportunity and a mix of how versatile it is.
Gautam, you're sitting in London. Tell us what everyone out there is looking at India for.
That it's not China. And that kind of sums it up for me, at least. I won't go into a deep philosophical answer, but that's the most exciting thing about India right now, is that it's not China, and
Right.
that's what the world's looking at. I think a lot of good things are coming our way, and that's about it. That kind of sums it up.
Well, absolutely amazing answers, you three. And you three truly are the future of the India story. On our part, we can promise you that we'll continue to support and cheer you on. Veer, I promise I'm going to be at Vana to pause and to reset whenever I can. Gautam,
Thank you.
I'll continue to be brave. I'll continue to brave mini heart attacks and splurge on Napadori products every time I get a chance. And
Yes.
Masaba, if that's what it takes, the next time I interview you, I'll turn up in a Masaba Gupta gown. Thank you all for all your work
Sari, not
and for
gown,
putting.
Jamal.
Okay, sorry. Thank you all for doing your work and for putting India on the world map, for giving us the spotlight like nobody else has before. On behalf of Madhu Nyotia and the entire team at the India Story, please accept my heartfelt gratitude for being here today. And those of you watching, please note this is not the end today. After much cajoling, we finally have with us the founder of the India Story herself, Madhu Nyotia, joining us for a brief chat. But before that, let's take a look at some of the most memorable moments from the last 9 episodes of the India Story Continues. With me today are two people who you really logged on to see, Sandeep Khosla and Raj Mehtani. Welcome. 74th Independence Day of our country. This is the first episode of the first season of the India Story Continues. 34 years of Abu Jani Sandeep Khosla. That is the surprise, ladies and gentlemen.
I cannot believe you've done this, Jamal. In Goa to make me the most fabulous looking thing. I cannot believe it.
So tell us, Pratik Kuhar, was your heart broken or did you break someone's heart?
I don't know. Whole mess came from pretty much came from a breakup.
You've said that the best way to get over a breakup is to cry and cry and cry and then go and date someone else.
Yeah, I cry a lot. I find crying very therapeutic.
But Tiwari, you were a senior editor at Vogue for over 13 years, an opinion leader in the world of fashion and lifestyle, and a person who has never shied away from standing up against the tide.
You know, the sari is a perfect example. We never throw away a sari. We pass it down. They are hand woven. I mean, what could be a better metaphor for sustainability from India than the sari? So we need to take ownership again.
Radhika has been a dear family friend for generations from both sides, Bikaner and Baroda. But she's also one of the most gracious and the most beautiful. And I've been to many exhibitions around the world. But what Madhu and Team India Story does is quite exceptional.
Radhika, everybody is seeing you as the icon of the beautiful Maharani, living in the world's largest private residence. So just tell me, what is it like?
It's beautiful. I love living here and I'm blessed to be living here. But it also comes with its own set of problems. You see, when you have a house this size, those are the few little issues that we have. You know, अगर चाय आ रही है तो by the time it reaches, वो ठंडी हो जाती है कई बार.
Hey guys, I am Malishka and I am really honored and super excited to be your host for this evening. She's called Malvika, Urf Mally, that's her stage name, and she's a young, independent, beautiful artist, and I'm sure you've heard of her. Malvika, aka Mally, hey. What did it feel like when A.R. Rahman tweeted?
I mean, growing up in Chennai, you know, the 90s especially, like A.R. Rahman's music was everywhere.
So what are we going to be making today?
A Birbal ki khichdi, rich in history and simple khichdi.
Right. I had to shatter stereotypes, had to break a person's mindset and fear around Indian cooking, but the rest was easy. I was going back into time. So the New York Times in one of their reviews wrote, "Food so old, it's fresh."
How important are views or impressions, as they call it in the digital age, important for a song?
I don't believe that somehow. I feel if people listen to your music and they like your music, they will stream it anyway.
I totally agree with Slim. As you correctly said, there are songs which are not doing well on YouTube at all. But on streaming, there are some great numbers. So there is an audio value to it also, which people are enjoying.
I think whatever we do, that's one thing which I've learned, and it's a very, very Gandhian idea. The process should be inclusive. Process should be able to create more employment, and the product is born.
मैं हूँ पानी के बुलबुले जैसा, तुझे सोचूं तो फूट जाता हूँ, तू किसी रेल सी गुजरती है, मैं किसी पुल सा थरथराता हूँ.
What great moments for posterity, and welcome back, everybody. And hello, Madhu Nyotia. Thank you for consenting to be on screen, and congratulations on a very, very, very successful season one of the India Story continues.
Hello, Jamal. Hi, Jamal. Thank you so much. So, Jamal, first I would like to introduce you. I think it's time. We have with us the very charming Jamal Sheikh, national editor, branch, and new media initiative, Hindustan Times. Jamal, thank you so much. You have given directions to this web series, and the India story continues would not have been possible without you. Thank you.
Thank you, Madhu. Let me tell you, it was
So
easier
can
to
I ask?
organize the entire series
So can I ask?
than to
Yeah.
convince you to come on. Let me tell you, I must put that on record.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for being on.
Can I ask you the first question
I
since
am
you've
the
been asking
interviewer. I
everyone?
ask the questions.
Can I
Okay.
ask one question only? Okay. So all
Okay.
the
Yes.
one question, then you can take it out. So all the
Okay.
episodes
Okay.
are your babies.
Yes.
Okay. All the episodes are your babies.
Yes.
So asking you to
Yes.
pick one most favorite one would probably would be unfair. So, however, can you pick a moment from across all episodes that really came to you as a surprise and made you smile?
That's a that's a beautiful question, Madhu. Honestly, it was. I mean, all the episodes were special. Whether it was the cutting of the cake, which you made sure it got in the middle of Goa in the middle of lockdown on August 15, where Sandeep Khosla cut a cake on his 34th anniversary, and there was a message from Abu Jani to pop stars coming on and surprising Pratik Kuhar, who's an independent musician himself. But I think the most special moment for me would be when senior fashion editor Shefali Vasudev said something a little critical about Rahul Mishra. And Rahul Mishra didn't just accept it with a smile, but went on to start explaining himself. And I think the biggest thing is there that Rahul Mishra today is so successful. He's shown at the most prestigious fashion event in the world, yet that humility remains. The fact that he still wants to explain himself, that's a quality I want to have in me all my life, and I think that was the most special moment for me. Convinced with the answer now? May I put you on the spot, Madhu?
Of course, looking forward.
Excellent. So I'm now taking you back 6-7 years ago, Madhu. Where did the idea of the India story come about? And tell us the story behind this name.
So, Jamal, from a very early age, as a young, naive bride of the Neotia family, my eyes were trained to appreciate all that is Indian and aesthetic. And also from a very early age, I felt India was always showcased very poorly globally. So it was like kind of a mission for me that one day that maybe taking baby steps we can help in changing the perception of the India around the world.
Right.
And these
Right.
are very baby steps. Of course, commitment and passion does keep us engaged, and this is
Yes.
how the India story was born. And let me just say that it would not have been possible without my wonderful team. They made my dream and thoughts a reality.
Yes. Well, it has established itself today as one of the premier, from one of the biggest arts, culture, design festivals in the country, and we hope to see an on-ground event as soon as it is possible. But a little bit about the online add-on while we've been waiting for that. The India story continues. Where did this idea originate, and how has it panned out?
So, well, the idea originated quite suddenly, like most of my ideas do, but it has been a result of collective thoughts which gave the character and the shape it has. The web platform gave us the opportunity to reach out to a global audience. Jamal, I shared my thoughts with you. Your response was so encouraging. You refined it, you gave it direction, and the name, the India story continues. Ladies and gentlemen, please, this is the name comes,
No, no, no.
the
It's
name has been
your
given by
idea.
Jamal. No.
It's your idea. The India story
And
is
none of,
such an all-encompassing idea. And Madhu, wasn't today's session celebrating Indianness in such a unique way that only millennial Indians can?
yes, absolutely.
Isn't that correct?
You know that.
Yes, yes,
Yes, absolutely correct. Yeah, you put
yes,
you're the
yes.
man with the words, so you put it very well. Thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you, Madhu. Thank you for giving us the opportunity. One notable point throughout the conversations, performances, and workshops that have been happening was that there was very little mention of the challenging times we are going through, Madhu. Was that deliberate?
I would say it was somewhat deliberate because, at the time when we began planning and working for the web series, we were in the heart of the lockdown. All news analysis and commentary was about the pandemic, and I wanted to bring in something different, something that could
Right.
that could make the people take a break and make them smile. And I think, in fact, this thought, Jamal, you and I both shared. When we discussed
Yes,
how to position
yes,
this episode, how to position the web
yes,
series, it was something that you and I
yes.
both shared. And I think,
Right.
and it was so important to make people smile because we didn't want to have the gloomy, which, as you said, when all the channels, everyone keeps talking about.
Right, right. Well, it's brought a lot of positivity and a lot of joy. Look at the laughter it spread. Everyone's looking forward to what's happening next Saturday. Thank you, Madhu, for being here. I know there is more planned. With this, I'm going to bring today's episode to a close. Thank you again for being here, for your views, for putting the India story together, and for leading it all these years. It truly is a jewel in the crown of India. And to the audiences, thank you all for watching. Do keep your
Thank
eyes
you.
peeled for the post finale surprises. For Madhu Nyotia has something up her sleeve that's going to come to you sooner than you expect. Seasons may come and go, ladies and gentlemen, but you'll soon realize the India story always continues.